Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy Podcast, episode 460 for the week of July 14th, 2020. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Brock Sager.
Kevin.
Sure.
And Charlie.
We have...
Did you like my echo?
We have... Yeah. We have the Bryce Larson's favorite podcast tonight, All Sales Charts.
And booze.
Well, Kevin's got the booze.
There you go.
We got the 2019 North American Bookscan analysis, as well as Comic-Con's kind of end of, now here's everything for 2019. I want to talk about this a little bit because it definitely puts to rest a lot of the dumb people on the internet complaining that the industry's over. The industry's dying.
Never put it to rest. You know this.
But don't worry. This is not 100%. We're not going to just talk sales charts the entire time. We have a bunch of questions from Twitter and Patreon. A bunch of good topics to talk about this week. Kind of late on news, but Bookscan's always a fun thing to talk about. Well, I like it every year. So if you don't know what Bookscan is, this is basically a way they track data for graphic novel sales through bookstores. So this goes through, Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and these are the sales that come directly from, you can hear me typing a little bit here as I kind of scoot back and forth doing a bunch of my notes. So let's see, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Costco, General Independence, Hastings, Target, BJ's, Kmart, Hudson Group, Books A Million, Follett Books, I don't know Follett Books, CEO, Reed, Powell's, Toys R Us, ShopRite, Super Value, Sam's Club, and Walmart.
Did you just say Toys R Us?
Toys R Us, yeah.
Is that still around?
Toys R Us. There's still some in Canada, right?
Maybe.
So they do not include sales to libraries, schools, so like the book fairs, right? Book fair numbers are not included in here, which is a major source of sales for all ages in young adult graphic novels, comic book stores, and book fairs. So, and book clubs. So the interesting list for this is always just what's on it, right? There's so many, if you look at what sells in comic book stores and you look at Bookscan, they're totally different books, right? Let me know when you start to see a trend here. If you look at the top 10 books on Bookscan for 2019, it is Dogman, For Whom the Ball Rolls, number 1. Dogman, Brawl of the Wild, number 2. Dogman, Fetch 22, number 3. Guts by Raina Telgemeier, number 4. Dogman, Lord of the Fleas at number 5. Dogman and Cat, number 6. Dogman at volume 7. Dogman Unleashed at volume 8. Dogman and Tale of Two Kitties at number 9. And Strange Planet at number 10, which is the...
So what you're saying to me is Dogman is the new Batman.
Dogman is the Batman of kids' books, yes. And Strange Planet's the two little aliens that talk with like funny, non-Englishy sentences. Have you seen these guys? You see your friends post them on Facebook all the time. Trust me, you've seen these. Clearly these books, Raina Telgemeier is all over the place here. Oh, I should say, we pull these numbers off Comics Beat. I thought Brian Hibbs' Bookscan 2019 analysis. He does a really good job breaking down what everything sells from all the companies. And like Marvel and DC, they're big, obviously, but they're not like a major part of this. Manga is a absolute just huge sell through in these places. Not so much in comic book stores, right? Way less in comic book stores. In the case of a lot of comic book stores, that we're now getting our graphic novels from book distributors, not from Diamond. So when Diamond has like a 20% drop in graphic novel sales, this is why, because they're all going over here, right? Diamond is just one slice of that pie. When we the top 750 comics for let me see, where's my big number? I had a big list here. Oh no, where's my big list? There it is. So the 2019, the top 750 graphic novels sold was up almost 37% from 2018 for $226 million. And that is by far and away the most it's ever been. As far back as 2003, when Bookscan started tracking when this started tracking graphic novel sales, it was 66 million. It went back in the 100 millions in 2014, just went up. It dropped a little bit in 2017, but then it exploded the last couple of years. Because again, we have all these now kind of long tail things like Ryan Higgins and the Dogman book selling just insane amounts of copies. Million plus seller, per year, let alone life to date.
I think it's also due to an increase in just kids reading graphic novels across the board. With
Phoebe
and her Unicorn. They have
it is funny. It is funny to look at the top list because it does, like comic books, it very quickly drops. Once you get out about the top 20 or so, there's a pretty significant drop. But those ones that sell at the top, like comic books, like single issue comics, really do dominate, especially those Dogman books. And they don't count Captain Underpants in here, I believe, because that's actually like a novel with pictures. It's not actually a comic book. So I believe if they counted that would be like
the Diary of a Wimpy Kid stuff.
Yeah, Diary of a Wimpy Kid's not in here either. Yeah, because it's not a comic book. So there's Scholastic in the top 750. Let's see, 270 books are like that's. They've only published 270 books total, and they are now the number one publisher of graphic novels in America, at least through Bookscan. They have basically 10% of the top 750 are Scholastic books. They have a huge market, and clearly these are pushed very heavily. They're all kids stuff, all ages, and Babysitter's Club. What else is on here? Dogman, Ryan Higgins, Boy Crazy Stacy. I don't know that one. Oh, that's one of the Babysitter Club books. Wing of Fire. Wasn't your kid reading that, Brock?
So Wings of Fire was a novel series.
But they have graphic novels
But they've started to do the graphic novels, and so those have popped up. Brody's read a couple. I think he read a couple of them, or he has a couple of them.
Yeah. Amulet. So,
Amulet's
Bone.
Been going good for a while.
Obviously Bone now. So there's lots of crazy amount of books. So we're gonna, because obviously we do focus here a little bit more on the single issues of Marvel and DC stuff. So Scholastic's number one. They have this absolute humongous year. Every year is up for these guys. HarperCollins is number two. They have all sorts of crazy amounts of imprints that they go through. Penguin Random House, again, same thing. They have like 12 or 13 different imprints in the top 750 alone. And again, these, we start to see here, like, okay, well, where's the other, where's Marvel and DC here, right? Let's keep going down. Macmillan, Andrew McNeil, which is another publishing company, and then DC Entertainment at number 6. So DC was, for a long time, they were the number one graphic novel publisher in America, right? And if you look at the amount of what they have in the top sales chart from Comicron, from Bookscan, there's just it's a weird list. So they at their peak had 130 books in 2013. They had 130 books in the top 750 list. As 2019, they had 33. This is not the lowest they've ever been. But it's the lowest amount of books, but it's not the lowest money they've made. Obviously, some higher price points. But we're talking less than $10 million in the book market. This is Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Book Fair, book clubs, all the all the anything that they do through the the what the hell am I trying to say here? The kid.
You're talking about Scholastic Book Fairs because
through that stuff.
They still have
which
DC
they're trying to
stuff.
break into, but
they're trying to break in, but it's one of those markets where Scholastic corners it with the products that they put out, and other publishers have.
It'll be interesting.
Fight for
because they started some of these books in 2019, and they're not on. The only one of those is the Raven book, and that's it. Like they don't. Under the Moon, Catwoman's Tale didn't even sell 5,000 copies through Bookscan. So but the ones that did, right? Watchmen's the number one book.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's actually the number one and number 3 book on the list. And older printing is the number 3 book. Oh, what's up with that? V for Vendetta, Batman Killing Joke. Those are still on the top list. That Teen Titans Raven is the number 2 book, but like, I don't know, like the rest of them just aren't on here.
You're talking about like the YA and the
Super
stuff?
Sons book, the first Super Sons book,
the project
is the number 20
Super
title.
I've
Polar Shield Project.
Yeah.
I've never gotten a firm sense of, because obviously at this point I've been to a massive amount of the Scholastic Book Fairs at my kid's school. And for the most part, there are very few, like, if they have a Bone book, they'll have one volume of Bone there, and it's not even guaranteed to be the volume 1, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they have large series of stuff that they bring to the book fairs.
Yeah.
And I do tend to see some DC stuff there, but most of the time it would be like a Teen Titans Go volume or something like that. So...
Well,
yeah,
I don't know how hard it is to actually get these books out of just the ordering catalogs.
So with my kids going, I knew the PTA ladies that ran the Scholastic Book Fairs and talked to them about stuff, and the schools don't get to pick anything. Scholastic basically just loads up those mobile book selling things, and they just ship them to the schools. So the schools getting whatever Scholastic decided to put in there. So it's not like they're like, oh, can we get this or this or this, request anything. They can do that through the little flyers.
But I've always gotten the impression, while the flyers have some sales, most of their sales come from the physical books that are in front of the kids.
Yes. But it's completely a random spattering. That's why it's probably... DC doesn't seem very prevalent there because they're not stocking those books as heavily. They're stocking the Scholastic books more so than they are.
But what that means is one person responsible for ordering for the book fairs that make it into schools, that person decides what book's going to end up on this top list. Because if they decide to have that book in schools, it's going to sell better than if it's only in the catalog in general.
Yeah, those book fairs are big money for these type of books. So DC is going crazy with them. I'm assuming they sell well. We just don't get those numbers. So the amount of people that that are seeing these at book fairs, passing on them, and then purchasing them through traditional bookstores or Amazon is pretty minimal. It's good. I like that. Like that Raven book's a really good. That's a good seller. 43,000 copies is fantastic. But the rest of them aren't really. They're just not. They just don't sell very well. And the comic stores, they sell okay, but obviously Amazon's going to be a bigger market there.
Well, it's also we're only about a year.
They wouldn't be doing this many if they weren't moving them through those other means that we can't track.
The DC Kids and the DC YA line has is only just under 2 years old, or just about 2 years old.
This isn't that old, right?
So,
but that's what we have the entire sales history of 2019 to look at, and that was basically their launch year.
Yeah,
like it was their first full year, I believe. They didn't start in 2017. I believe it was 2018, right?
Yeah,
I believe.
I can check, hold on.
Because they had the Ink Zoom thing, and then they scrapped it all. So
they scrapped all those.
Either way, other ones like Batman White Knight, Batman Damned, Batman 80th Anniversary of Detective Comics, and Batman Who Laughs all are in their DC's top 20 list. So again, you wonder why they keep making Batman books. Well, they keep selling. Sandman Preludes and Nocturnes, Long Halloween, Mr. Miracle, and Dark Knight Returns are also up there. So yeah, DC's had a rough couple of years, and Dan Didio, before his departure, was not very shy of saying that they needed to really look at the book market and figure out what's going on, because they just weren't getting the sales they had gotten just years prior. So I don't know. Now there's an interesting Comicron who does all the book all the Diamond sales chart numbers and estimates. They actually took the Bookscan report and put it in with their own report, which goes through ICV2, which is another comic news source. And they were able to combine comic and graphic novel sales from both Bookscan and Diamond's number, which, remember, this is pre-Lunar and UCS, so this is before the split from Diamond and yada, yada, yada. So 2019 will be maybe our last year of really getting these sales charts to some accuracy. You know, I mean, they're estimates, right? At the end of the day, Bookscan is actual sell-through at about 60 to 70% of the market. There's about 30% that doesn't track for like independent bookstores that don't have point-of-sale systems. And but the comic book industry is sell to stores, not sell to customers. So there's a big asterisk on all this, and clearly they're estimates. They're not official numbers. So I've heard between 10 to 20% higher than what the estimate is. Again, we'll just kind of round by these numbers as they are. For $1.2 billion in sales in 2019. And again, that's a huge growth in the book market and graphic novel market, coming mostly from from Amazon and Walmart and Target and all that crap. So now, I don't know why he didn't do this for Marvel. At least I didn't see it. If he did, maybe he'll add these numbers in later. But he did add them through DC. So as we're talking about DC, I wanted to mention this. So they had $33 million in sales of graphic novels. DC single issues sold $115 million worth. So again, if people are wondering, graphic novels is the future and get rid of single issues, 60% of DC sales come from single issue graphic novels. That is a huge number. 40 million of graphic novels through Diamond and 33.4 million graphic novels through Bookscan. So, when you add those two numbers together, now Marvel outsells DC as far as comic books, but graphic novels, DC outsells Marvel by a significant amount. So Diamond was, DC is actually Diamond's largest publisher because of the combined sales of both formats. So DC leaving Diamond is a big deal. And we'll see how that plays out for everyone. But yeah, again, the estimate of graphic novels, the estimate of digital was actually down in 2019 to 90 million. So DC single issues alone through Diamond was more than the entire digital comic sales for comic books and graphic novels for every publisher in 2019. So single issues are dead? I don't think so. No, this doesn't include Marvel Unlimited, DC Universe. This doesn't include what's the Shonen Jump app, right? The where you pay a service to read. So little asterisks there, of course, but this is the pay to own digital comics. So
yeah, I just have to say, we're talking 2019, and I'm just like, but that was like 10 years ago.
So, 2019 was forever ago.
So I actually checked on
simpler times.
Mara Tidebreaker, which was the first DC Inc.
That was
book,
the first one. Yeah.
And the Super Sons Projects, whatever. That was the first Zoom book. So it's the Zoom is now kids, and the Tidebreakers Inc. is now YA, whatever. 2019. Yeah. They were both released in 2019.
They actually came out in 2019?
Yeah. They came out in 2019.
Did they make that? Wow, I thought it was like 2018.
No,
wow.
Remember they were like, DC Zoom, DC Inc., and then it's like a couple things come out, and then like, nope, we're changing everything. And we're we're not gonna have Vertigo anymore. We're gonna have this Black Label thing.
Yeah.
God, simpler times, man. I can't wait to read the emails from 2020 in future podcasts.
I'm not. So it should be no surprise. We'll move on from DC here as the number 6 publisher. The number 7 publisher was Dark Horse Comics. And a lot of that has to do with one single show. I'm sure Toby can tell you all about it. Toby's still alive. Of course, that is Umbrella Academy. I mean, he's recording, so whatever. When he comes back, well, I'm sure he fell asleep. Umbrella Academy is there. The Minecraft comic, very popular.
Or dude, I had no idea what you're talking about.
There he is. Dark Horse published a series of graphic novels, and then they based a really popular show off that series of graphic novels. That was very popular in 2019. Do you remember what that show was?
Season 2 is out at the end of the month.
Wait, you're really confusing me. Are you talking about the Umbrella? You already announced it?
Yes. Umbrella Academy.
Riddling with something else? I'm like...
Umbrella Academy. And their Plants for Zombies comic does really well, too.
They got a making-of book coming out like this week or next week.
Yeah. More Hatchet, which does a lot of... Hachette. I never know how to pronounce that. It sounds like
I think it's a soft C. I think the second one is right.
Hachette. They had a lot of their manga stuff in here. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm not skipping over these companies entirely. I don't have enough stuff to say about the product. So, Image number 9, and that is a big drop at Image. It was they went from $22 million worth of sales in 2016 to $11 million in 2017 to $7.5 in 2018 to $5.5 in 2019, and that's what happens when Walking Dead and Saga are not being published anymore. That is a big drop.
No, let's be careful with that word anymore.
So Saga didn't have a lot of issues or anything, obviously, in 2019, and therefore not.
There's the final trade, right?
Like that. Yeah. But Walking Dead ended in, was it 2019 or was it early 20?
The sales had really dropped off, right?
Yeah.
But the best-selling books are still Walking Dead and Saga. Like through Images, just the numbers are not what they were.
Well, yeah, I was just curious because I know Saga wouldn't necessarily have new volumes to sort of pump up those numbers as regularly as it did in the early days. But Walking Dead should have new volumes, so it's just the sales in general.
Sales are the sales are low. Paper Girls is up there. Monstrous is really the only other big hit. Image is in a funky place. They were on fire for a few years there, but nothing that launches now clicks. Discover Country does well, but like that's got big names attached to it. I don't know if those will necessarily translate to kind of a casual audience, until the movie comes out. A lot of the stuff from Image right now is subscription only for us as far as single issues. And this is like single copy, couple copy. Like, they just have not had a big hit the last couple of years. And I don't know what's going on. They are lucky that Monstrous is doing as well as it is. That's kind of their one big hit that's still going on as far as single issues. And they have stuff that comes and goes, but nothing sells like in graphic novel form for them. They need to, I don't know what it is. I mean, we still do well with them, but clearly this does not translate to casual sales on
Amazon or bookstores.
Yeah, on Walmart and everything. Yeah. Not like it used to. No, poor Marvel. Number 10 publisher of graphic novels, Marvel Comics, and their sales, man. Again, not the lowest they've ever been. But 2016, when MCU was on fire and every Thanos-related book was selling crazy, all that stuff was going real hot. And then, boom, 2017, 2018, cut about half. And then 2019, cut about half again. less to almost just over $4 million worth of sales in Bookscan, and Infinity Gauntlet is still their number one book. So, yeah, the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man, and Spider-Verse Miles Morales, two of kind of the smaller book format books are up
like
there.
The digest size ones, or
yeah. Miss Marvel No Normal is the number 4 book. So, but you could see a lot of the 4 of their top 10 are the kids' Spidey freshman year and the superhero adventures. Lord of the Sith is up there. House and Powers, the hardcover's on there. So you can tell that there's obviously some interest for this stuff, but this makes Marvel signing. I don't know. I think briefly mentioned it. Marvel signed with Scholastic for some original content. Now that is a big. That's a big deal, and that's what Marvel should be pushing for their all ages stuff, because IDW's books just don't. They just don't sell enough. Yeah. Marvel going directly to Scholastic is the correct move here. And again, we've done better with Marvel's graphic novels in the stores. Sales have picked up pretty dramatically in the last couple of years, but there's a barrier here when it comes to this type of content.
Well, I think if you look at Marvel trades versus like an average Marvel trade versus an average DC trade versus an average independent trade, like it's significantly tinier. Like it's just this small sliver of a book, right? Whereas,
oh yeah, well you look at like if you look at what's it called what the hell is it my brain just like dying here. If you look at the Dogman books, right? Those things are pretty hefty.
Yeah.
And they're like half the price, right?
Yeah.
So they're a little hardcover, and they're 150 pages or 200 pages or whatever. They're big. The Marvel things are like 80 pages, and they're like $20. They're tiny.
Yep.
Yeah, tiny.
So I was just curious about a different comic publisher. I'm curious if Oni saw any jump because of Stumptown. That was a new show this year.
Was that in?
That was in 2019.
I don't remember if. Let's see. Where is Oni? Oh, well, here we go. Well, they're down here. I don't even know what number this is. Oni. They're not ranked here specifically. But IDW's in there. They Call Us Enemy, and the Rick and Morty Dungeons and Dragons books were kind of their big hits. Oni, they're Leanne is very happy with her turnip price.
No, I'm not. I sold for earlier.
Oh, twin!
Earlier this morning.
You gotta go with the charts. You gotta go with the charts. Don't sell your turnips early unless you got your chart properly mapping out your turnip prices for the day. Okay.
What the hell did we just experience?
Animal Crossing. It's very serious stuff. Oni's biggest graphic novel in 2019 was Sheets, the again all ages book. So, what were you looking for?
Stumptown, because that had the big television launch this year. So I was just curious if it translated any.
I'm looking at my top 750 list. It is not in the top 750, which would put sales below Sailor Moon Volume 4 from 10 years ago.
Oh, that's too bad. Because Stumptown, the show, and the comic are fantastic. So I was hoping,
was Stumptown 2019?
Yes.
Yeah, it was like the tail end of 2019. Right.
Yeah, it was fall
2020 has been so bad.
Yeah.
You feel like 2019 was so long ago.
Okay, Toby.
Yes.
I'm going to give you one more chance.
Yes. Umbrella Academy.
Dynamite has
The Boys.
three books in the top 750. What are they?
I have no idea.
You just said it.
The Boys.
The Boys. Dynamite in the top. Now, again,
I have no idea what the other ones are. Is it like Sorrow and
The Boys and the Boys? So,
wait, I thought you said there was 3.
Yeah, the boys, and the boys.
Oh,
Volume 1, 2, and 3.
Volume 1, 2, and 3.
okay. That was a trick question. Then.
It was. But again, you would think, this is where you sell these books, right? This is where, bookstores are where they're going to go, right? Well, Boys Volume 1 through the whole year sold 13,000 copies. Is that a lot? I don't know. I don't think so. Not really.
Probably compared to the previous year.
Well, yes, but you look at comic book stores. I have to assume sold at least that many, right? So but I mean,
certain
things sell better.
Keep in mind, if I recall on The Boys, that was, and this may be the case on Stumptown too, but I have a recollection that was one of those things that wasn't really available to order as the show was launching, and they kind of were a little slower to get those back out and available.
They were. It's just you'd think they would have sold more, right?
I know, but
that's
like everything, it's all timing in this day and age. If you have the product available while people are going crazy, it makes a big difference.
The Umbrella Academy, definitely.
Yeah.
Umbrella Academy, definitely. Let me see if this doesn't actually have the full list. I thought I had the full list for Diamond's.
I can't
Diamond's
wait for that 31st
graphic novel list here.
What was that, Toby?
I can't wait for that 31st.
Boys.
Umbrella Academy the entire day. Be back on the 30th, and I got Umbrella Academy on the 31st, so it's a good end of the month.
Nice. I can't wait. I'm super excited.
Is it Comic-Con that weekend?
No, Comic-Con is the weekend before that one.
Oh, okay.
Or used to be.
I did actually, somewhat related to just some of the books we're talking about. I didn't want to tell anyone in case they were listening. I do want to talk to you guys briefly about Old Guard, but we'll save that for after questions because you guys can spoil it if you want. And if Kevin or Charlie want to take off and not get spoiled, they can do that. So to wrap up, $1.21 billion estimate, or sorry, $1.21 billion, 11% increase over the total graphic novel and comic sales of 2018. Is a what's that?
I thought you were going to scream gigawatts.
No, I should. Then this is the first time book sales have actually been above sales in comic book stores. They had $765 million worth of graphic novels sold in 2019, $355 million of comic books, and 90 million digital sales. So that is quite a bit of comic books sold. $570 million went to bookstores, $525 went to comic stores, 90 million digital, and 25 million through other channels. So that is your overall sale numbers for 2019, all things in. And if you guys want, I highly recommend going over reading The Beat. Just look up Tilting at Windmills. That's the Comic-Con. That's Brian Hibbs's series of articles at Comics Beat. And you can read through all the data and numbers if you want. If you like reading this stuff like I do. And then have it explained over a half an hour to you. So there you go. We have some questions. We got some Patreon questions. We're gonna get to this stuff. Huh, you want to read Patreon questions? If you got something to say about the sales chart stuff, I just like covering it.
No, I think it's
that was 2019.
Yeah.
I really want to see what they do. Because Diamond or DC could release numbers if they want to. They could release accurate numbers. I don't know if Lunar and UCS are going to release their sales charts.
Well, I can tell you this much: if Lunar and the other one release their sales charts, they'll probably do it on time. And and Marvel might be on time because there won't be any complications with DC. So at least we'll have on time charts.
Now, Comic-Con did actually reply to me one time when I asked him about that. He said he went back through his dates and everything looked pretty accurate, but that there were never really
solid numbers.
No. Like it was never released like much later when it was Marvel
was ahead.
When DC was above Marvel. But in my heart of hearts, I know it was.
Oh, we know it was true.
All right, so we're going to do some questions here. Everyone jump in, give some answers. Tyler asks, this is technically the year the Cyborg movie was supposed to come out. Kevin's favorite movie.
Just for the record, let me just bring this up again. I don't know the episode number, but sometime at the old store, I bet everyone at the table $1 that you would never see a theatrical Cyborg movie, and this was pre-Justice League.
Yeah.
So where's my $1, gentlemen?
For a long time, we could still win.
Yes, that's true, but I'm going to stand by my never.
That's okay. I'm going to just go with the whole drama around the Snyder Cut. All bets are off.
Well,
I don't know what's going to happen anymore going forward whatsoever.
Well, the question is, ignoring that Ray Fisher may have hurt his chances at playing the character, how would you reinvigorate his backstory? Or how would you reinvigorate Cyborg back into where the DCEU is now? Whatever happens with the Snyder Cut, I think you just do the Teen Titans. And he's there. And you just ignore... You don't have to ignore Justice League, but he gets introduced there. Cool. Well, now he meets these other people and hangs out with them.
They did a great job just kind of having him in Doom Patrol.
Yeah,
right?
I like him in Doom Patrol.
That version of Cyborg is
it's a little different, but I like him.
Yeah. John's is kind of origin of his that he wrote in the New 52 Justice League was a great story that could easily transition over, and we saw elements of it in, Snyder's little snippets here and there of like his dad working on him and stuff. We've seen threads of it in the Doom Patrol one, but it's not something that's not hard to pull off. Not to mention it's filmed in Detroit. The place needs some help.
I just think what a great movie the Teen Titans would make.
Yeah.
So you have the Titans show, but like, they're fine. Obviously, they're fine having multiple versions of these characters.
Now, you have to have Damian as Robin.
Well,
right?
So I guess my thing with Cyborg, and this even goes into the Teen Titans runs in some ways, is I don't have any easy to go to, this is the Cyborg story you should tell. Like, he works as a good supporting character in Titans, and I like him as a character. I'm not dissing him as a character. But there's no story that leaps out to like the top of my list on like, this is, if you wanted to tell a Cyborg centric story, this is the story you should choose. I don't have anything like that.
No, he's like most characters. He is part of a team dynamic and works really well in there. I love Raven and Starfire, but they've tried to have their own solo books. I could do solo stories of them, but those characters kind of exist as part of that Titans family, and I feel that's where they work best.
Even within Titans, you have stuff around Trigon, and like you have very easy Raven-centric stories to sort of pull from the Titans canon, and I feel the same ways with Starfire and Blackfire, and all her history lends itself to like you could absolutely kind of go, I want to tell a Starfire-centric story. I'm hoping somebody else has a suggestion where I'd be like, oh yeah, crap, that's a great story. But I don't have a Cyborg story my mind goes to at all.
I got it. They just do a buddy movie, Beast Boy Cyborg. Yeah.
I mean, that'd be great.
That would be great, but that doesn't solve the question I was posing.
Well, if anyone's got any ideas, let us know.
Who wrote in with the Cyborg question?
Tyler.
Which Tyler?
Tyler Fell.
Okay.
Not your Tyler.
Okay. I'll save my Tyler for later.
Oops, of course I just lost my post. Let me get back to it. While I'm pulling this up here. Did I just break Patreon? Hey, there we go. Second question comes from Brian. He says Stargirl was really good. What do you guys think about Doom Patrol Season 2? Well, he has a couple questions. We'll start with that. Doom Patrol Season 2. I'm 3 in, so I'm 2 behind. I gotta watch those next 2.
Yeah, I'm also 2 behind. I watched the first 3 as it premiered, and it is good, but I don't think I'm connecting to it as well as I did in the first season. Like the first season, I was, even from like the first episode, all in, loved, and like this, I'm enjoying it, but it's not, that hook isn't there for me the way it was.
I'm oddly a little opposite because I think season 1 suffered a little bit from like originitis, where we had to, have a lot of characters to introduce. I found season 2 a little bit more engaging, actually, at least from those first 3 episodes. I don't know. I like what's her face.
I don't know. I look at it as
Dorothy.
Dorothy Spinner. Yeah, I like her a lot.
Yeah, I look at it as if I was engaged in it the way I was with season 1, I wouldn't be 2 episodes behind.
Yeah.
So I'm completely caught up with it, and it's amazing. Like it's hilarious. It's great. Like it's off the wall crazy, and it's just I'm glad they just don't. They're just keeping that insaneness that Doom Patrol has, especially from that Morrison stuff.
Yeah.
Like was it Sex Men? Did you guys get to that one yet?
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah.
I do want to bop back to Stargirl here for just 1 sec. Anyone not seen it to care if I spoil something from this last episode?
I've only seen the first episode, but you can spoil away.
Okay. Because I think, Kevin, I got to send you something. Because, Charlie, you...
I am absolutely current. I am fully engaged with Stargirl.
Okay. Because the 7 Soldiers of Victory get a full, way more accurate than you think, Kevin.
Wow.
So we now have the potential for the return of Earth 2 Green Arrow, played by Stephen Amell, because we get the picture looks like it's taken from the 30s. So I don't know what the exact nature of that photo was, but Starman and Stripey were on the 7 Soldiers, and so they have God, I don't have the picture in front of me here. Who's it? Who's on it? It's Green Arrow, Green Lantern, or Green Arrow, Speedy, Starman.
There would
Stripey.
be the Crimson Knight,
Crimson
or the Crimson Avenger, the Shining Knight.
Avenger's on there.
Vigilante.
Yeah, Shining Knight, Vigilante's in there. The Cowboy Vigilante, way comic accurate.
Wow.
And what's the guy's I forget, Wing?
Yeah, the sidekick.
Yeah. So it's fucking awesome.
Wow.
We're getting a Pegasus in this. We're just straight up going to get the Shining Knight Pegasus in the show. That's how much this show is just we're not going to dick around. We're just going to be as comic accurate as we possibly can. Yeah, that was pretty incredible when they dropped the 7 Soldiers.
Even if they can't get a Mel, I would even settle for just a Hart lead too.
yeah. Came in for a cameo.
Yeah.
Going back to what Charlie said about Doom Patrol, I want to echo that comment, but I have a specific. I think how many episodes they've had? 5, Brock?
5, yeah.
So I've seen 3.
Yes.
Ryan, your favorite scene, I think it's your favorite scene, or one of your favorite scenes from season 1, where Robot Man has that freak out and he's yelling. What was he yelling? Oh fuck, or I can't remember now.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. Yeah, they're really funny.
It was really funny, but now it feels like a show written by 18-year-olds who have been given permission to swear, and so there's F-bombs in every scene.
It is a little too much.
It just feels like in a movie like Goodfellas or Reservoir Dogs. Cool, bring it. This just feels like it's trying so hard to be edgy that I'm aware of how often the characters are swearing, and I'm not invested in the story.
So the ad campaign is actually tracking the fucks on Twitter.
I know. It's just not.
It's great.
I'm aware of the count of the word fuck, and I'm not paying attention to the story. So I will catch up on Stargirl, especially now what you just said. With Doom Patrol, it's become now one of those shows where, I'll get to it.
He says, what do you guys think will happen with Titans now the DC Universe seems to be moving away from exclusive shows? I assume it'll just be picked up by HBO Max.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll put it on CW.
I mean, Doom Patrol already has the HBO Max, or Max original. When you...
Hell, they could 100% put Titans on CW, at a 10 o'clock time slot, just edit 1 or 2 things and I think they'd be fine especially if there's.
I mean, I don't know that stabbing the dick shit. I don't know if they can edit out, and we know that's your favorite part of that show.
Well, there's definitely no filming in California anytime soon. Hollywood, like the rest of the state, is now pretty much back to being fully shut down. So CW may be looking for another couple shows to fill into the early spring of 2021.
Well, I think they're showing one of the BBC shows or the Sky One shows. That's
are they?
Mickey from Doctor Who.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of curious about that show. It's kind of weird. It's like importing shows now, getting new content from elsewhere.
That's what you got to do.
It's on like its second season or something on that one, I noticed.
On CW already, or they're just pretending it's new for American audience?
So I don't know if they aired the first season just on streaming or if it aired, but I noticed when I became aware of the show, it was already in its second season.
Well, second season of BBC for sure, but here also?
Well, I only noticed it in the CW TV app, and I believe it listed it as season 2 in that app.
Oh, okay. It's like Strikeforce had something weird like that too, where the first season was like UK, and then they did an American version where they continued the show, which was technically season 2, but they kind of advertised it as season 1.
Even Modern Who took forever to come over here to the States, so they aired season 1 and then almost immediately aired season 2 on Sci-Fi Channel. Like, it was just that. Like, I get the impression they saw season 2 and went, okay, we'll go in on this show now. So then they got season 1 and season 2 at the same time in the agreement and such. So I wouldn't be surprised if a similar thing happened where they just sort of bought both seasons and are showing them back to back.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I know we talked about this before, but I think there's a not insignificant chance that Swamp Thing ends up being a pretty big hit for CW, which should be really funny. Final comment for Brian. He says, Brock, your packaging is the shit. My order came in last month. Packed like a champ.
Yeah, you're welcome. Love it.
Notice how the inclusion of the word "the" changes the whole meaning of that sentence.
What?
Brock, your packaging is the shit versus just Brock.
David Baroldi's throwing down the gauntlet. He says, I know you're all huge Jeff Johns fans. He was always a bit hit or miss for me. The batting average has been slipping since Flashpoint. How would the crew rank his big guns? None of this are all tied for number 1 garbage. It's trying to make it tough.
Well, Ryan's out then. With that caveat, Ryan's out.
Yeah.
I mean, at least me and Charlie, I think our answers are going to be pretty similar. Blackest Night, or some form of, I don't know if you could separate Blackest Night and Sinestro Corps War.
Are we just talking since Flashpoint, though?
Yeah, that's
or are we talking like all time?
He says rank his big runs.
Okay. Yeah.
He says he's liked him less since Flashpoint. So Justice League, Doomsday Clock, Shazam. Well, I mean, I put Doomsday Clock top 3 ever. Like, Doomsday Clock's incredible. Justice League and Shazam are fun. I would not put them higher than Green Lantern. I would not put them higher than his Flash run. Infinite Crisis might be my number 2. I love Infinite Crisis.
So obviously the Green Lantern run, including Blackest Night and all that, is easily my number 1.
Like, if you take Green Lantern from Rebirth to New 52, that's unbeatable. But like, is that fair? Because that is so much. That is Rebirth. That is the entire run. That is Sinestro Corps, Blackest Night, Brightest Day, and the launch of New 52. That is a huge. Those are not one. That's not one story.
Well, but see, if you go by story, then yes, I could break it down differently. But if you go by runs, it's impressive that he kept that run going as long as he did and kept the quality that high. So I'm not going to split it up because that's just an amazing accomplishment to begin with. The fact that I have 3 omnibuses on my shelf just of that run is amazing.
Does that make JSA 4th and Flash 5th? Is JSA no? They all have to be number 1.
I told you. I said at the start of this, Ryan is disqualified based on the question.
I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't make Flash my fifth
I should have bet
favorite
$1
Jeff
on
Johns
this.
run.
Yeah,
Oh my God, no.
Well, Johns wrote Green Lantern for 9 years.
Yeah, you're in a long ass time.
I think maybe you have to separate out the like Sinestro Corps War, separate that out from the regular Green Lantern. Blackest Night, make that its own thing, because otherwise,
that's tough. Yeah, it is hard. I mean, his JSA and his Flash runs are incredible, but Green Lantern is the bar. That is his high bar for ongoing series. Like, it was above everything. I mean, people don't remember Green Lantern was outselling Batman. Green Lantern was outselling Spider-Man. Like, unfucking heard of. So
I'm going to throw in a wild card. What was the question was, what is your top? What is that?
Well,
right?
he says rank them. Rank the runs.
Infinite Crisis is probably my number one, but I'm going to say for number
Crisis
two,
real good.
Just to go with something you guys haven't mentioned, I'm going to go with that JLA, JSA, Virtue and Vice.
I mean, I just put that in part of his JSA run.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But
well,
it's fantastic. Well,
and I'll pick as number 3 Superman's Secret Origin.
Yes, your run is really good too. Oh, but then his action run with the Legion. This is like This is like when people told me to rank Morrison, and I just kept remembering more books.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I can't do it.
So where do you put the Rebirth special? I mean, just that one issue.
Real good.
But that's not a run. Brock, that's not. It says his big runs.
But the thing is, that one issue is so impactful.
It's real good.
It
is really good. Yeah.
What about
real good.
Ryan? What about his Batman Earth 1? Do you rank that?
It's okay. I like I like it. I don't love it.
Whoa, that's like
I
for new listeners. That's like damning. That's a damning insult right now.
All the Earth, I'm kind of like that with most of the Earth 1, but I actually have to read Wonder Woman 2. I never read Wonder Woman 2. Yeah, I know. It's just sitting there waiting for me.
Well, if only you had some downtime.
Yeah. The Earth 1 books are a little funky to me. They're interesting, but they're this other thing.
Booster
right?
Gold run.
It was good. I like it. I mean, it's down on the run list, but it's really good. But I tell you, I actually think. Was it Dan Jurgens took over, right?
Yeah, it got a lot better with Jurgens.
I like John's run a lot, but I mean, Jurgens created the character, so it makes sense. But Dan Jurgens made Booster Gold. Yeah, it almost worked better. I almost like Jurgens' run better than Jeff Johns, which.
Well, for me, that's one of those we talk about occasionally, but that is the perfect example of a transition for me, where I don't feel like the book suffered at all for the transition.
Yeah, no. If anything, it got better, which is really hard to do.
If anything, people just go, Dan Jurgens wrote this whole thing. You're like, no, John started it.
Yeah. And of course, I love his Avengers run. Another case of what's that guy's name that took over after Johns? He took over after Morris on X-Men 2. Oh, it's the worst. Who did all those terrible books at Marvel in the early 2000s? What the hell's the guy's name? Oh, you're gonna have to I'm gonna have to look this up. What is his name? Is the worst. He took over for Johns.
Well, while you're looking that up, so his Aquaman run is one of those that feels incomplete to me because he kind of promised this follow-up event that never happened.
Yeah, so, it never did. It never did.
Yeah. So I kind of take his Aquaman run out of ranking because of that. Like, it's not a bad run. I like reading those books. In fact, like when the movie was coming out, I reread all those stories. But it just reminded me again of like I really want to know what he had planned because he was trying to build up the mythology of Atlantis and Aquaman and all that. And that's
real quick. How could I forget Chuck Austin? How could I forget his name? Oh, Chuck Austin. But yeah, no, Aquaman is weird that just never happened. It never finished.
Nope.
I wonder what's up with that.
And I almost feel the opposite way. So, like his Justice League run for the New 52, I really liked.
Yeah,
but the Darkseid War at the end was head and shoulders above anything else he did in like the run for me. Like that one story is like must-have material even outside of the run.
Well, and by that point, he kind of was, I think, able to do whatever he wanted. He was not beholden to the New 52 plot. I think that would have played up exactly the same had it been done in the previous universe. Whereas clearly those first 12 issues were heavily New 52'd.
You didn't like Throne of Atlantis?
So, I like Throne of Atlantis.
No, Throne of Atlantis, everything that happened before it was good, but Darkside War was head and shoulders above anything else in that run.
I think the shame on that was, though, like the last 2 issues just kind of went whoop in that run.
Of Justice League?
Yeah.
He didn't write those.
I know.
Those are like weird fill-ins.
Yeah, but it's just like, it's of that run, you have this Darkside War, which is like,
it ended great. His... That's not his run. Those are just like 2 random fill-ins at the end of the series. So to wrap up, they're all tied for number 1. Okay, perfect.
Say we could have just skipped right to that and moved on.
Hey, I was enjoying reminiscing about all the good stuff Johns has put out. That was a great question. Send in more Jeff Johns questions that we can talk about for 20 minutes.
I do. I mean, his Shazam run has been a lot of fun too. I want to see how he wraps that up.
Yeah.
Wait, is he wrapping
Speaking of another weird fill-in issues.
Yeah. It's kind of awkward. Mario Miranda says, with the news of a Gotham Central type show for HBO Max coming out, what do you guys think the chances are it'll actually be closer to the tone of Gotham Central? You guys are going to talk about this? Well, I actually saved it because we were going to talk about it here. How was Gotham Central received at the shop when it was originally being published? It's one of my favorite series of all time, and I recommend it any chance I get. So I'm always curious how it was received in other areas. I was in Los Angeles at the time. When Gotham Central came out, by far, I was on one of the top of my reading pile. That whole era of rock, we didn't know what we had, Kevin. We didn't know that we had like Brian K. Vaughan, Greg Rucka, and Ed Brubaker on Batman, and we're like, yeah, these are good.
Yeah.
So
if only we knew.
So taking aside the if only we knew aspect of that question, I am curious though, because I came to Gotham Central somewhat late. It wasn't until like the collections were coming out and I got the hardcovers and then I read it all at once. Like it was far over by the time I read it. I don't ever remember that book hitting a certain amount of buzz or a certain amount of notoriety. I don't remember a lot of conversations happening like it.
It was my favorite book, so nobody read it. Nobody gave 2 shits about Gotham Central. I mean, I probably sold well enough for DC, but it didn't last for very long. It lasted 20-something issues, 25 issues maybe. Like, it didn't run for very long. But the prestige of that book and later, based off who was working on it, and it is very easy to give to people as just, it's a Batman book without Batman. You don't have to know anything. This is about the cops. This is about the people. Ignore the superheroics. That's the whole point of the book. And of course it didn't sell well because Batman's not in it.
It went for 40 issues.
God, did Gotham Central go 40 issues? Yeah. Oh, maybe it did. Maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah, it had like 4 of those trades. Run. Like Charlie, I came into it like late, and I was picking up the soft covers, but I breezed through it. But man, that stuff was amazing.
And to be candid, in a way, I think one of the beauties of that book is it was only 40 issues, is the fact that it kind of had like, you don't give that to somebody and they see 20 volumes on the shelf or something like that. You just go, here's a limited series all about the cops in Gotham. You don't really see vigilantes and that stuff. And then you talk about who's writing it and that kind of stuff. Like, it's lightning in a bottle.
The couple, there's a short run where they team up with the cops, kind of team up with the Teen Titans. I really like those couple issues because that was a rare case where you did see some sort of superheroics in it, but that was the Dead Robin story arc. Yeah, it was obviously done from the perspective of the cops, right? And how they deal with those characters. And
I thought it was just great because it really gave us a sense of Gotham, on the ground, right? Like, you read it and you felt like, oh my gosh, you're a Gotham citizen and you see Batman one night, go, whoosh, in the shadows, and that's all you saw, right? There was no like, this is predominantly going to be, we're going to have all of these characters front and center. So
I think for me, the key on it, or the thing that really drew me in, is it challenged your perceptions of how Batman works within Gotham City. Yeah. Because you always see that interaction with Commissioner Gordon and that support from Commissioner Gordon. Well, this sort of showed you what was underneath that. And I found that very, very fascinating, that it's not all bat signal goes on, Batman takes care of it, and that kind of thing.
Yep. What was I saying? Craig Anderson's got a question. He says, as a classic comic creator sadly passed away, which of them do you think still could do a book today and still be relevant? What writer and artist and what character would you want them on? That is a tough question. Who has passed away that could still do? There was still do.
Wait, was his question who is deceased who could still do a book?
No, his question was who's still alive that could do it. Like,
no. Wait, that's two different. That's literally two different questions. Which one is it?
No, as the classic comic creator sadly passed away, which of them do you think could do a book today and still be relevant? So someone that has passed away.
Oh.
I think the problem with some of the older guys is that it's tougher to be relevant, and the guys that died young, we don't know what they would have done today, right? Like, it's a tough question both ways. Whether they're older or younger.
So my answer to that is technically two-part. In general, I would love to see what Kirby would create now if he was still around.
Yeah.
Two, I would love to get a pure Bill Finger story where he got full credit and everything for what he was putting on the page.
I think for artists, for Craig's question, I would say Nick Cardy, I think could still, on the right book, could still be relevant today, and Bernie Wrightson.
Oh, well, yeah. He was still really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there's so many, like, Denny O'Neil would probably still be.
Well, he did stuff before he passed away. He was, every now and again, he would write something. And, it's fine.
Yeah, Ween.
He's in that Green Lantern 80th anniversary.
Yeah. And Len same thing. He was in the middle of writing a Swamp Thing series when he passed away. What's funny about Kirby, he was doing... Wasn't he doing a book for Topps?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a deep cut, yeah.
It wasn't like a Fighting American rehash, was it? That's what he was doing when he died. He was doing something. Yeah. I don't know how much was,
so
fully him.
Yeah, I was going to say, some of the stuff that I've heard and read suggests that later in life, he was still taking on stuff, but he wasn't able to shoulder it as well as he used to on his own.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that.
I think for this question, you kind of need to be able to pluck them out of time rather than say if Kirby was still alive today. Like, I want to grab the Kirby from 1969 and plop him down now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mean like the 105-year-old Jack Kirby today making a comic.
And look at what's the guy's name that did that sorcerer from Black Book? What's the artist's name? Totally drawing a blank on his name. And there's so many of these indie guys that draw like Kirby, right? But it's weird, it's wild, it's crazy, it's not normal. It was not something that would be in a Marvel comic. His weirder stuff wouldn't be in a regular comic today.
But that's why, for me, I love the Kirby art and stuff we see, and I've been drooling over screenshots of Absolute Fourth World for weeks now, going, I really can't justify it, but I want to. But most of the stuff that resonates for me on Kirby, he also had a key hand in creating. To me, his imagination to create stuff like the New Gods and the Fourth World and that stuff is so crazy bananas in a way to have created that. Can you imagine being in a pitch meeting for something Kirby wanted to create?
Yeah.
And be able to try to see the genius in it, because somehow this batshit crazy stuff he's doing is absolutely crazy genius at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a good question. I don't have a good answer for this. I'll have to think. Let me keep thinking. I'm thinking like who in their prime would still be good today. I'm not thinking any of these guys really. I mean, if in their prime, if they were on books today, like I still think it would work. Yeah. The problem is we get these guys not in their prime coming back, and you're like, ugh.
So that's one of those things that I'm curious about, just from how much the storytelling in comics and stuff has changed. I don't know how many of some of these old creators would easily be able to transition into the way stories are done. Like, I feel like Kirby could, because if you look at the Fourth World and like those works, he tended to have a larger tapestry that wasn't really single issue centric, that were very complicated stories and that kind of stuff. But some of these other creators, I don't know that they translate very well to telling stories in a different way now. Some of them absolutely could, but not all of them.
Let's move on to Zach. He says, what are your predictions for how death metal is going to impact the DC universe now the 5G seems to be dead? I'm getting strong reboot vibes after issue 2. I haven't read 2 yet. I mean, I think if you just look at what it says, right? What do they call it? The Anti-Crisis, right? Or yeah, Anti-Crisis, I think they're calling it. What was the title of issue number 1 was Everything Counts, or everything. I don't have it in front of me, so I have to go grab it. But yeah, reboot might not be the right word. Unboot might be more what you're looking for. But we don't know. I mean, 2021 is going to be a wild year for DC. Assuming they're still publishing comic books and not out of business like Rob Liefeld thinks. So we'll see. We'll see if that happens. See if that comes to pass.
No, it's okay. The entire universe is just going to reboot into kids' books.
Wait, by that, do you mean the DC universe or the universe we're living in?
Both.
I want to say both. So that one,
I would welcome the second one, yeah.
I meant the DC universe, but at this point, I think everything.
You'll take anything.
So the
much
title,
like Crisis, right? I mean,
the title for Death Metal was an Anti-Crisis plus Part 1 plus It All Matters.
It all matters. That's what it is. Yeah. Perpetua was going around like blowing up the 52 world, so something is going to happen after that. We'll find out. A final question from Alex is on Patreon. We're going to do some Twitter questions too before we get out of here. Now this, you got to think real hard about, okay?
Oh, God.
This is a tough one. If you were going to beat your worst enemy to death with a comic book run...
This is a Charlie question.
By one creator from your own collection, which one would it be? Remember, it's going to be heavy enough to beat them to death with. I mean, Charlie, just lend us your
Except Charlie doesn't have enemies. That's the problem. Charlie has the weapon, but
I was going to say, I have for a long time thought that the Walter Simonson's Thor omnibus was just made to be like a representation of
Thor's hammer.
So,
it's that Wolverine Adamantium book, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
No, No, it's the Fourth World omnibus.
No. The Wolverine Adamantium edition. Like, Toby had absolutely the right answer.
Nothing can kill people.
See, I think a few of those. You just get. I have like all 5 of those Sandman. The tall ones, the absolutes. Like that is
but that's that's 5. We're talking it's one book.
Yeah, one book, not multiple books, just one.
A comic run by one creator. So that's a comic run. But even one of those books, they are sharp. Those corners,
yeah. Like Death of Superman's pretty big too. So
the omnibus.
So
it is pretty big.
Bringing Death. I'm going to bring the Death of Superman on him.
The reason why the Wolverine Adamantium edition was the right answer is because
that's big. We don't have it.
It's big enough to basically be hitting somebody with like a tombstone or something. You hold on to it with both hands, and you.
Jesus,
dude, we're gonna have to carry home that standing one and that Marvel's one, dude. I was like, dude, I'm having problems lifting these books.
Toby did not know how big those books were.
No.
When he ordered them.
No. I was like, why the fuck are they so heavy?
Because they're fucking like 12 feet tall.
As I said, they're basically like hitting somebody with a tombstone. Yeah. They're perfect.
Yeah. But the thing is like the question was in our collections. So the adamantium edition is for you, Charlie. Ryan, what's yours?
I'll tell you, one of those Sandman. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to have to cheat because I don't have one that's a run-by-one creator, so I'm going to take one of the Taschen History of Marvel or History of DC books.
Yeah.
That's a one strike. If I can lift it high enough, that's a one.
Those are the same size as the adamantium ones, maybe bigger. Taschen books are incredible. I have a couple of the Disney ones. They sit aside my bookshelf because I don't have any place to put them.
Yeah, all the Adamantium edition volumes I have are on the very bottom shelf of my bookshelf, lying flat and just stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, it's all right. Got a couple questions.
I don't own the Wolverine one, but I guess I'll use either that Marvel one or that Stan Lee one to kill people.
Yes, same size, right?
Same thing, pretty much.
Yeah.
That Stan Lee volume is amazing.
It's huge.
Yeah, that was a good purchase.
And I love the fact that it has the Silver Surfer parable in it. Like both issues of that.
Question from Stefano. Who's going to drop their subscriptions at Comics Conspiracy for the month of August to buy that new Lego Nintendo Entertainment System?
Nope.
Charlie, Toby, you in?
Nope, too expensive, man.
How much is it? $250? $350? Is it?
Yeah, it's sorry. I love Nintendo. I love Lego, and it's cool. But I was expecting $50. Sorry.
No. This is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like
does it play video games?
Get a little sidetrack here. I can't do Lego. I'm sorry, guys. I just have to stay away.
That's okay, but still, that thing is hella expensive.
Yeah.
I'd much rather buy a tiny HD TV that I can build a retro case for, like an old school TV like case for it, and I'll plug in my NES Classic into it. I'll have a lot more fun with that. Yeah, I just don't understand any of those Nintendo Lego things. I don't know.
They're weird, but they're interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for Nintendo and all for Lego, but for some reason, them together, it's not clicking the right clicks with me for some reason. Yeah, I'm not really into them.
I thought they were just going to be minifigures and just.
Yeah, I mean, like the Mega Blocks that they had a few years ago.
Yeah.
Would have been totally fine. I probably would have bought some, but now I'm like, I'm not so sure about this.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's cool. It's cool. The TV moves. Have you seen it? Like,
it's really neat.
Yeah, and
but I just can't. I can't.
Put the other Mario that comes in the other set on top and makes all the sound effects. But at that point, it's like, wouldn't I just go play Mario? I mean, it's a gift or as a gimmicky thing, but I don't know. I don't know if I'll buy it. I don't think so.
I'm not into it at all.
Not for $230.
So over time, I have had various things that have popped up on Lego where I'm like, that is amazing. If I had more money, I would totally buy the Death Star, the Millennium Falcon, or even the London Tower Bridge had like all the little like triple decker buses and like all that stuff, and would go up and I always thought that stuff was amazing. In general, though, in like the past month, all I've been doing is looking around my house, going like, what can I get rid of? I have too much stuff. I need to make more room. The last thing I'm going to do is invest in Legos. That would be fun to put together. And then I'd be like, and now I need to find a shelf or do something with them.
Now, Lego is coming out with like 3D posters that you basically build a poster of like a face of something. Now, if they did,
I haven't seen those.
If they did like DC characters or Marvel characters, would anybody get those?
No, like I said, I avoid Lego entirely. I can't do it. I have to stay away. That's a dangerous hole to start going down.
Yeah, I know all about it.
You have your Nightwing Lego figure, right?
I have the official one. I have the bootleg one. I have the red one. And I'm very, very, very excited to build that Stranger Things set, man. That Stranger Things Lego set is amazing. I can't wait to build that.
Stefano has another question. He says, any idea who will take over for the Flash? Now that Joshua Williamson is wrapping up his run, who do you want to see? I get the feeling they're going to go someone unexpected. No one's jumping out at me when I've been thinking about this of who would take over. I mean, maybe they'll do like a fill-in arc or something in the short time, but I mean, I would love that, but I don't see it. Not especially if it's going to take double shipping and everything too. I can't imagine. Yeah, I don't know. There's been some new people that have been doing some new books. This guy Ram V, he's at Justice League Dark. A few other things interesting. I know it's a style, but trying to think of someone that's like newer to DC. They could pull outside of DC too. Yeah, I don't really know. I really don't know who would be the right pitch for that. Kevin, anyone got anything? Yeah,
I mean, most of the people that like are already on other books, so it's like, you know, who gets shifted around to doing that? I mean,
yeah, and I also don't want to just be like, I'm going to be like, you know, it's like, oh, hey, now that Didio's gone, they could get Mark Waid back to do another round. Like that might be fun, but like I don't know if that's what I want, you know.
Well, I think Flash has had such a healthy amount of creators on it since, you know, like
I'm telling you, man, Flash has consistently been, and we've talked about this, like the best book that DC's published since like Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean, it's just been a solid title.
Those last few issues before,
it's had a couple of rough spots, but it's for the it's been. There hasn't been too many. Even Batman's had some parts that have dragged. You know, some creators that just didn't really click. Flash has got a good run of people on it. Travis wants to know more about the Seven Soldiers of Victory.
There's 7 of them. They're soldiers, and they like to win.
Yeah, it is something about those Golden Age JSA related characters. It's very interesting. I do like, especially Shining Knight. He's real cool. I am actually a little surprised he didn't Johnson go for Morrison's Shining Knight, the modern one. I'm a little surprised that they went with the classic Shining Knight, but I guess it makes sense. I mean,
I like how it's all soldiers from different eras. Like you're looking at soldiers from different time periods almost. When you're looking at these characters, right? Like, you know, Green Arrow has a definite Robin Hood vibe. You know, Shining Knight is obviously, you know, Knights of, you know, Arthur. You have, you know, the Crimson Avengers, the one that's, you know, the Wild West, you know, martial guy.
That's Vigilante.
The Vigilante, yeah. Okay. Crimson Avengers like 20s pulp.
Pulp, yeah. And then it's just so you have all of these different characters that kind of give a good spattering of what a soldier is in a sense that's not like, oh, I got a gun and I'm going bang bang, right?
Huh. Well, Kevin may have a little bit better knowledge of some of this, maybe some of the origin of this stuff, but you know, the JSA and a lot of these early teams in the Golden Age were made. I don't know exactly like how it worked, because they were still kind of all technically owned by like different groups of people and different companies. So like the Justice Society was like these random like kind of one-off adventures where they would sort of team up and then disperse back out into their solo adventure, then kind of come back. I don't know the ownership of all the characters of Seven Soldiers of Victory, like from the original time, from the Golden Age, but the teams and the team dynamic were not what we think of when we think of what the Justice League was, or then, you know, the Avengers, obviously, and X-Men. But they're interesting characters, especially if they're going to go into the Earth 1, Earth 2 concept of, I mean, we just saw Green Arrow on screen. To me, that's pretty huge, honestly, that they would, especially being a show that's going to be on CW.
Well, they were also careful not to name him. Like, they named a lot of the other people in the photo, but they stayed away.
Green Arrow and Speedy, right. So, tracking down the Seven Soldiers of Victory DC archives, like a lot of times, you're not going to get much out of those. You should, however, track down Grant Morrison's Seven Soldiers of Victory book. That's going to be a modern reader is going to get more out of that. It's wild.
Let me insert an item in between those two. If you can put yourself, to the person who wrote the question or anybody who's interested in the team, if you could put yourself in kind of the Bronze Age mindset of reading older comics, not Golden Age primitive, but like 70s.
Stalsar.
Look for Justice League of America 100, 101, and 102. It's a Len Wein written 3-part crossover with the JLA, JSA, and the Seven Soldiers.
That's when they like come back then, right? They hadn't been in anything prior to that.
Since the Golden Age. It's a fantastic... Right. Now, I first encountered it as a kid in a reprint book. So at age 10 or whatever, it was like the greatest story ever written. It's still really fun. And if you want to see... Not the Morrison book is really cool, but that's not the characters that are on Stargirl. You want to see the characters that are on Stargirl in a more modern telling than the kind of a little rough Golden Age books. It's JLA 100 through 102. They were on Comixology for, I think, 99 cents each, and it is worth easily that amount. Highly recommended.
There you go. Zane's got a great question. He says, what's the best way to support your comic store without going to them in this now bordering on shutting down again? I should actually note here, we are not shut down.
Yet.
If there's a half step back again in California, we would be shut down. So we are at the point now where we were, a month and a half ago or whatever, where we got the okay to open up, but restaurants, bars, all gyms, all that stuff. They've now taken like step and a half back to where they were. So we are next. If it gets worse, we are next to close. So, if they do Comic Hub or another point of sale system that allows online sales, go to their website, buy stuff online, get it shipped to you. You can always buy a gift card. That's what we did when we were closed, that customers can use later. Especially if this is your local shop and you want to buy a gift card, just say, hey, put $100 in my account or, buy a gift card for $100. There you go. Super easy. If you're, creators have done this. Donnie Cates did this. A bunch of creators have done this. If you're rolling in it, if you got a bunch of extra cash laying around, buy some of their pull list boxes from people. Multiple creators have done this now, with comic shops that they're really friendly with. They're having some trouble. So, they called up and said, hey, go pull 10 subs that haven't paid for their stuff. I'm going to pay for their pull box. Clearly, that's out of the realm of possibility for most people. But, hey, it depends what you're looking for. And if they're open, or even if they're not open, if they just do curbside or if they're doing mail, just call the store and just say, hey, what do you suggest? What do you recommend? What do you like? I think most stores today are going to be willing to ship, even if they normally haven't in the past.
Wait,
especially
stores don't ship?
Plenty of stores don't ship.
What the hell is wrong with those people?
The best one is probably just a gift card because you can always use it later. Assuming
the thing that amuses me about the stores that don't ship is because everything's been shut down. Toby and I especially have been watching different groups and talking different. There are specifically shops that people will identify have this book or this book, and they will turn to the group on Facebook or something and be like, does anybody live in this area who could do me a favor?
Yeah. Oh yeah, those videos. That's a good suggestion too. Yeah, if they do Facebook Live videos, you can always support them there. Watch those. Question from M. He says, what are your thoughts on death metal now that 2 issues are out? Well, I'm not going to talk about that because we haven't read number 2 yet. I'm sure we'll talk about death metal 2 next week. How do you feel about DC's current and solicited line of comics coming up, and how do you enjoy the DC Universe's current direction? I'm assuming
Post-Didio is what he's meaning?
I'm assuming he means the comic universe and not DC Universe, the app that has now the current direction is no direction. I'm going to assume.
I don't know. I still like the app.
So. I like the app too, but there is no current direction for DC Universe, the multimedia app. The universe
I
is
know. I
non-existent.
just, like most things, I'm basically just saying support the app while it's here because we don't know what's going to happen. And if
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot more likely to go away if everybody says, fuck it, we're not going to support it because Doom Patrol's not exclusive anymore and Stargirl's not exclusive anymore. There's still a
Well,
thing.
like you said, if that's where it's going to be in 4K or that's where it's going to be in HDR, or hell, at this point, I can't get HBO Max on my TV. So DC Universe is where I'm watching everything. HBO Max does not have an app for Roku, so I can't use it.
You have a PlayStation?
But DC, I mean, of course, it should come as no surprise to anyone listening to this podcast. I love DC's output right now. They're putting out a ton of good books, and they really, like, no joke, they have the shutdown and coronavirus stuff has not affected their output one bit. Distribution stuff, let's put that aside. Let's not worry about that. Let's talk about the actual content of the book. I mean, I'm enjoying everything as much as I was prior. I'm enjoying some stuff, maybe even more. Like, I still talk to praise of Hawkman all the time. It's still one of my favorite books.
Mm-hmm.
Way underrated. I highly recommend Hawkman. Now that the first couple trades are out, cannot recommend that more enough.
I think one that got
Three Jokers right around the
slipped under the radar. Also, well, you said Hawkman, but I said one that slipped under the radar. I think because the trade came out at the beginning of all the COVID shutdown stuff. It was Freedom Fighters. Like Freedom Fighters was amazing,
fantastic.
And it's same as Vendetti. So
a lot of this is just going to be repetitive for we said end of year, end of 2019. But because we haven't had as many issues out this year as we normally would have. But Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane both just wrapped up. Those were fantastic. I cannot believe we got an amazing Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane book at the same time. The Batman books could not be more on fire. Batman's the Joker War book is the biggest thing we've seen in Batman in years, probably since Rebirth launched, right? Like the height of the Tom King book. And, it definitely trickled down there towards the end, but it's still a really good seller. Sales of Batman are unbelievable. Three Jokers, obviously, cannot wait for that. Whatever ends up at the other side of metal.
What, Kevin, do you want to say something about those Three Jokers?
No, I'm excited to read it. I'm wondering if we're going to read it all in 2020.
FOC for number one's next week. So let's see. Yeah, I'm could not be happier with DC's output recently. Anyone else?
You pretty much summed it up.
What you liking?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like with what's coming out. Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff I've been really enjoying. I know a fair amount of stuff's coming to an end. Like people are finishing their runs on things like Teen Titans. Supergirl's done. Harley's coming to an end in 75.
I'm obviously disappointed at some of that stuff, but they're just going to relaunch them again. I am not disappointed with Teen Titans ending. It's fine. It's fine. But for the love of God, make a normal Teen Titans book, please. Just a normal Teen Titans book, please.
What's a normal Teen Titans book to you, Ryan?
Either the new Teen Titans or the Jeff Johns Teen Titans. Either of those are fine. They're both they're the modern versions of the same title. Like the two versions, the classic and modern version of the same book.
You don't like Adam Glass's?
I don't care. It's fine. I just don't care about the characters at all. Like they're fine, but there could be a Young Justice, like another. Not Young Justice. There could be Young Justice. There's a book that I love. God, Young Justice is so good. There's a place for those characters. I don't dislike any of them. It's not the Teen Titans. There's another book for them. They can have another book.
But you gotta roll, man. It's gotta evolve. You can't have the same old characters. These characters grow up, man. Damian's the new Robin.
Final question. Yeah, I have Damian on the team. I'm totally down with Damian being on the team. That's great. Final question from Comic Source. I don't think this would be much of a tough question, but I don't know. Maybe we'll surprise something. He says, if you could read and recommend one of these books, which would you choose? Clone, Volume 1 from Skybound. I never read Clone.
I did.
No, nothing against it. I had no interest in it. Irredeemable, Volume 1 from Boom. Those are okay. Irredeemable and Incorruptible.
Yeah,
Incorruptible. Did you guys read those?
I need to. They've been on my list for years.
Do you need a nice big fat?
I read a bunch of those, and I have a nice hardcover for Incorruptible. I don't remember which one. But they only did like one volume where, of course, they never put out the rest. That format.
They need I think they're doing like soft cover omnibuses for those, like the complete collections, and that's better. I did just sort of drift away from those after 20 issues or so. Like I didn't stick with them, but they're enjoyable enough. Harbinger 2012 from Valiant from the relaunch.
Yeah, that was good.
Did I read? Was I? Yeah, that was early, right? Exo and Harbinger were like some of the first two.
Yeah, Exo
right?
and Harbinger were the first.
Yeah, I read Harbinger. I probably read the first. I'm sure I read at least that first volume worth. It was all right. Or Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1. I mean,
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Not a tough question in my eyes, but maybe someone prefers something else. But Bendis' Ultimate Spider-Man is about as perfect of a comic as you could get for that book, right?
So to me, I love the early Ultimate Spider-Man issues. Don't get me wrong by what I'm saying here, because it did go downhill and stuff. But the sales potential of that book was unlike anything else at the time. Like the amount of volume ones that you could just constantly sell. Like I don't know that I have a easy go-to book like that that's currently readily available.
And still, it's funny because both the I sell that first volume pretty regularly in the couple Miles Morales ones too, but they never finished that run, and I think they even realized do we really need to finish this off?
Yeah, we'll keep those old hardcovers, those later ones that are insanely hard to get.
Yeah,
I'm trying to track down number 11 and number 8 for years at this point. They're super hard to get, man. That's the only one I'm missing. And then I have the complete thing in hardcover. I mean, I was collecting them in softcover. The bad thing was, as I was collecting them, I kind of passed over to hardcovers. Charlie was the smart one. Hardcovers at the time, so I really, because I could have got them all when they came out originally, right? So I'm basically backtracking on all of them. And it was because of you that, some dude came and sold you his collection that was able to pretty much, kind of jumpstart that hardcover collection. And I've been hunting down all the other ones ever since. And man, it's not easy.
Oh, Marvel
I was just going to say, when you talk about that stuff, it always amazes me just how much those have skyrocketed up as whales, considering I remember those later volumes were constantly being clearanced and just blown out because they weren't selling as well as like the earlier hardcovers. But once they were gone, they've never seen like any additional printings or anything like that.
It is crazy that Marvel, one of the most anti-graphic novel companies at that time, kind of developed the perfect graphic novel with those oversized multi-volume hardcovers.
Well, they still were. I mean, they had a system, right? It was trade hardcover.
Yeah,
it was very easy to follow. It's like either you collected one or the other. Sadly, at the time, I was very much a trade person because I just kind of enjoyed them that way better. But it was a system that I think truly worked, and I felt like they should have just stuck with it.
Yep.
What's that?
Yeah, it's pretty outrageous how that became so how that format became such an industry standard.
Yeah.
After those Ultimate Spider-Man trades.
Like I got the soft covers of all of those, or the early ones, up until I think it ended, until it got relaunched with number 1. But it kind of just, the story kind of just fizzles out towards the end. So I sold mine a long time ago, but yeah, it's still a great one to start with.
Yeah. Oh, the first 3 volumes, of course. Yeah. Really
but that list is a little weird because it's kind of like, oh, here's Spider-Man, and then the rest are independent, kind of superhero-y, but not superhero. It's a weird
they're
list.
Just different. Yeah. No, it's fine. But I mean, if they're looking for someone to buy, I mean, I think Ultimate Spider-Man is an easy choice. I would go Ultimate Spider-Man. I just never read clones, so I have no opinion of it. Irredeemable was good, especially first couple volumes. It's limited, but I think it kind of falls off. And what was the other one?
The Harbinger.
And Harbinger's fine, but again, Valiant to me has gone weird.
Valiant has gone away from They did a really good job in the beginning, starting with a solid line and the ongoing series, and now they're just in this kind of space where they're doing 4-issue mini, 5-issue mini, maybe 8 issues. It's all over the place, and it's just like, come on, guys, I mean, out of all, I think they are besides Marvel and DC, they're the only other company that's a self-contained universe that's just within the all the titles that are released.
So as far as I remember, when it comes to like the Valiant books, when it first launched, I was very into like the X-O War and Harbinger and that stuff. But the second they started crossing over, and it felt like one crossover led directly to the next crossover shortly afterwards, that's where I fell off. It's one of those few cases where I'm like, the crossovers killed it for me.
Well, the funny thing is the crossovers weren't bad. They actually added to the story and made it and just had the characters interact a little bit more in the universe. Like they did that. Like they had Bloodshot and Harbinger. It was like Harbinger Wars, and they had a couple things. A handful of them were a little awkward, like on some of the specials, but overall.
So I think part of it was, for the most part, I felt like each crossover focused on like, okay, this is really a Harbinger story or whatnot.
Yeah.
And my memory of it, I don't know how accurate this is, but it was like they'd finish one crossover and I'd be looking forward to them going back to sort of a more focused story, and they would immediately go, and now this is the crossover we're doing. Like they didn't give it enough time to sort of decompress and do a few story arcs or something like that. It just...
No, there was a couple things that were like back to back in what was happening, but overall I think it was if I remember correctly, it was kind of passing the ball. So it was like Bloodshot and Harbinger were kind of crossing over, but then Harbinger took the ball from Bloodshot and went with it, and then they crossed over with somebody else, and yeah. No, I still enjoyed them. It was so good.
We are going to wrap up here shortly, but before we do, I wanted to talk about... Well, I don't want to talk about it because I didn't see it. Toby had to step away for 1 minute. He's going to be back, but I'm pretty sure he saw it. We'll talk about Old Guard.
Yeah. Since
this just came out, I figure spoilers for people that care. If you don't want any spoilers, you might want to check out here. Kevin, Charlie, have you guys seen how Brock saw it?
I did.
Kevin, do you care?
Okay, I'm gonna step away.
Okay, I'll message you when.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go, cool. If not, if you want to come back for the outro, I can message you. So.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or do you want to let him do his Tyler spiel now?
Oh, well, let me do that now while we're waiting for Toby. I just wanted to give a shout out and a thanks to our friend Tyler Willits for the signed Avengers comic that Ryan handed off to me this weekend, signed by Bob Hall, artist Bob Hall. Kind of a forgotten name, actually, to modern audiences. But Tyler, very cool, and thank you very much. It was a blast from the past because I remember that issue on the spinner rack when it first came out. That was that sweet 40-cent cover price era. All right, I'm going to take my headphones off. You guys fire away.
All right. Toby, and you saw Old Guard?
Yes.
Cool. So you Kevin, or you Charlie, and Brock have all seen it. So based on the very new Greg Rucka series.
I didn't realize how new it was because today I actually called you, Ryan, for the listeners. That I was like, is there a nice Image hardcover for that yet? Like in the style of the Saga and the Deadly Class, and like in the double, triple sized Image hardcover, and or The Walking Dead. And it's so new that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, it's just the one trade, right, for the first series? Because we're in the second volume now?
Yeah, so Old Guard has two stories. The first one, which is just Old Guard, that came out in 2017.
Yeah. And
it was just, I think, a 6-issue mini. And then
because we're in the second volume now,
We're in the second volume, which is Force Multiplied, which is only a 5-issue mini, which issue 5 came out this week.
Yeah.
But I read both. I read Old Guard when it first came out, and I enjoyed it. It didn't stay on my keep pile. I kind of purged out the miniseries, but it's definitely something that I'm like, I like this. I could see about getting a nice collected edition down the road. But when they announced that they were doing it on Netflix, I was like, all right, cool. And then I saw that I saw a trailer. I was like, all right, I'm down to watch this. And Greg Rucka apparently did the screenplay as well. So I was like, man, it's like, you can't go wrong. And they did a really phenomenal job bringing Old Guard to the home screen, I guess, not the big screen.
Yeah, like Toby, I had never read the comic or anything, so I went on to Amazon after watching it to just see what was available. Rather than calling Ryan, I just used the computer.
You Googled it?
I'm Ryan, as you can tell. I very much like on a busy day like Tuesday where he has a lot to do, I like to call him and go, hey man,
Yeah.
So what about this book that, I never asked you about but totally have interest now?
Yeah. But no, I really liked the movie and what they did with it, especially going into spoiler territory. I've always been a huge Highlander fan, so the whole idea of sort of the group of immortals and that kind of stuff really always appeals to me, especially bringing in new immortals and like that kind of stuff that has a history. And I like the way they kind of brought it together where they serve a purpose, but they can't even see the purpose they're serving because it's almost like they're being guided where they need to be.
Yeah.
And such. So I really kind of bought into the concept, especially as a huge Highlander fan. I can go back to the first Highlander movie and watch it whenever I feel like it. That I feel really holds up.
Yeah.
But I can't go back to the TV series the last few times I tried.
Oh.
None of the other movies like fully stand up the way that the first one does. And I mean, I might try again on the TV series at some point. I feel like so much of that was very much like Highlander at its core in a way is like an action TV series. And I feel like when it comes to action TV series, how far television has come over the past like 15 years to do action
Yeah.
has evolved so much that going back to watch like an old sword fight in Highlander is really hard.
Oh, but it's got that Queen soundtrack at least in the pilot.
Oh, but I mean, the Queen soundtrack is part of the original movie too. It's all, yeah. So, but no, I will always like that idea of sort of that group of immortals, and I like the way they kind of have that sense of when it's your time in this movie. It had all the puzzle pieces I wanted from stuff that I already love.
Toby?
So what are we talking about? Like just if we like the movie or our thoughts on it?
Yeah, just your thoughts, what you liked on it.
Anything.
I quite enjoyed it. I mean, it seems like it lacks. There's some spots I felt like it slowed down, but for a movie that went straight for Netflix, I mean, I thought it was amazing. The action is up there. I mean, the action was really, really, really impressive. Charlize Theron was very captivating. I really liked her as the lead. The co-hosts or the compadres are also great. I not sure if I like the new girl as much, but enough to enjoy the whole movie. And it ends on a cliffhanger so much so that I really, really, really wanted to continue reading it right away. That hence me calling Ryan today because I really actually want to see the next movie now. But yeah, Highlander was the first thought I had when I saw it. Very much so, like right away. It definitely has the Highlander feel, and I do like that. Spoiler right now that they do seem to have an end date to their immortalness. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I thought that was an excellent first movie, and I really would like to see the next one.
So I'm not sure if either of you guys saw, as part of like the interviews that were going around, Charlize Theron confirmed Atomic Blonde 2, and that they're in talks to get that on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw an article about that, but I didn't get a headline, but not a actual reading it.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting, but that's because I also really like that movie. So I'm all for them partnering with her to do a bunch of action movies.
Yeah, I mean, she really carved herself into an action star here. I mean, it's kind of awesome. I'm all for it because I always thought she was great.
Yeah, I think that overall, I think that, I mean, reading the comic and seeing the movie, the two things, it's a great transfer of what the comic book brought, with the story we got from the comic. There's a little bit of, stuff doesn't line up as much. There's stuff in, I think, Force Multiplied that is basically the second movie, but there's a little bit of it in there like you see the hints of it in the first one or in this first one. So I think they did a good job with that. Overall, yeah, I mean, if you haven't checked it out, you should. It's really good. Great cast. Although the ending felt a lot like Bloodshot in a high building and like shooting up stuff. but I guess I was the only one that watched Bloodshot, the last movie in the theaters.
One day. Did they ever put that on something?
Yeah, it's out.
Streaming somewhere?
It's out on. It came out on Blu-ray. You can go to Target and buy it.
Not gonna buy it.
I know, but
I don't know of anywhere that's doing like the free stream, but it was one of those early theater to home where you could buy it movies.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch it. I've heard almost nothing but good things. Kevin, I don't know if Kevin can hear. Kevin, can you hear us? He's got his headphones.
He can't hear you. He took his head. You gotta ping him on the chat.
Okay. Yeah, I just there
you
it is. Kevin, Old Guard on your list, or
totally. It's just one of these things where I have these crazy early mornings, and so during the week, the movie that is under a 2-hour runtime will always beat the movie that is over, and Old Guard is 2+, so it's a weekend movie. That's just how the reality is right now.
Yeah, but it's been good, and definitely on my list. I want to try to get to it pretty soon. So I haven't read the comic, but with that first miniseries, I may try to burn through it. Is it pretty stick pretty accurate to that first miniseries? Yeah.
I mean, it's they had to change some stuff up. With they had to change some things up because it's been so long since I've read it. But the essence of it is still there with like they're immortal and stuff like that. I don't know if he had introduced the we have a limited time in the comic book, but it was definitely like the characters are there, and some of the story is pretty much the same. But yeah, I would have to go back and reread it, but I'm waiting for a nice collected edition. So
yeah, I'm sure once there's multiple volumes out, they'll do a big. They'll do that big oversized hardcover that you, Charlie, and Toby want.
Hey, Greg Rucka's been on fire lately with the stuff that he's been bringing to like the screen and stuff. I mean, Stumptown was one of his for last year. I've
got all of Stumptown sitting on my TiVo. I need to watch it again. I've heard good things.
Really good.
Yeah, I've heard it's fun.
Does he have a contract to bring Lazarus somewhere too?
Yeah, really? I think he does.
That'd be neat. All right. Well, if you guys watched Old Guard and you got some thoughts, throw it on the Geekbox forum on Facebook, or send us some thoughts next week, and we'll maybe read a couple of reviews. But that is it. We are going to wrap up here. Thank you all very much for listening. Thank you guys here for being on yet again.
Mm-hmm.
We do have to thank our top tier Patreon backers: Joe Duff, Andrew Nelson Mendez at Recovery of an Anime Junkie Podcast, Craig Anderson at CraigPAnderson.com, James Laws, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast, and Jesse Peterson, the Comic Book Matters Podcast. Please go check out their work. It's greatly appreciated. And everyone that gives us a couple bucks on Patreon, thanks. You're the best. Patreon.com/Comic Conspiracy. You can head over to comicconspiracypodcast.com, geekbox.net, Apple Podcast, and Spotify for all our previous episodes. And if you go to youtube.com/comics conspiracy, that is where our YouTube channel is. You can hear these episodes there. Every once in a great while, I've put something up there, but nothing recent. I don't know. I should do a video or something. If you want to buy some comic books from us and you don't want to travel to the store, comicsconspiracy.biz is your spot. We have our entire storefront up there. We ship regularly, and you set up subscriptions over at Comic Hub. And, of course, if you want to find more of what we do, conspiratorbrock.com. That is Brock's blog, video pull list, and unboxing videos. You can go watch his work over there. Charlie's got the Doctor Who podcast at Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. And Kevin, I can get you on our list here. I can get you on like my official closeout list. You've got to promote your articles, your work. What have you been doing recently?
The interview series, which is the regular feature at Fanbase Press, this week, and by that I mean when people are hearing this, which is the week of, which would be July 15th, is a creator named Ashanti Fortson, who's a writer and artist for webcomics. And then 2 weeks, which is the end of July, is Big DD. Then in August, I think Charlie and Ryan have read it, my essay on The Flash. That will be in a magazine called Panel by Panel, which is a monthly comics. It's like a comics journal. type magazine, and that will be out in August. But I will give you, Ryan, a script to read off of for the next time we do this.
Ooh, fantastic.
I'm always trying to make your life easier.
Yeah. Panel X
panel, yes.
Yep. And Etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. That is my wife, Leanne. That is where you can find all her artwork on there. She has been getting a ton of commission work recently. People with that con money burning a hole in their pocket. A lot of prints.
No, it's not the con money. It's that
Kevin
they're
knows
stuck
all
at
about
home
that.
and they want to redecorate. And they're like, this wall looks garbage. What can I do to make it look nice? Oh, a Leanne print would look fantastic.
A lot of commissions, a lot of prints being sold on there. So if you're on Twitter, you can follow all of us. Ryan Higgins Ryan, that is myself. Brock is Brock Sager. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie is Insanity and Chaos. Kevin is that Kevin Sharp. The store is Comics Con Store. And please listen to the Geek Box, which I'm on every week. We talked. We did a lot of Q&A. It's our good friend Justin, who's been on the podcast on and off for many years. His wife is due with their second kid. I believe Friday's the day. Come hell or high water, it's coming out Friday. So I think that's what he said. Justin.
Oh, really?
Justin Haywald. Yeah.
Yes.
So he's going to be off for a while. This was his last episode. So we did some Q&A. And
also have a little one now?
It's second one.
What, second one?
Justin? Yeah, it's a second kid.
Chris Noyes, didn't he just have a little one too?
Chris had a kid, yep.
And they're all boy.
Karen Chu had a kid a couple months ago.
What?
Yeah, tell you, man. Certain age.
Geekbox is doing the next generation already, eh?
Yeah. Now they're all off the podcast, so it's just all those
non-breeders,
barren men like myself, Ryan Scott, and Adam Fitch. So we're all on there, and we talked, of course, a lot about Final Fantasy 14 and 15, as both myself and Adam have been playing those recently. And don't forget to listen to Manga Machinations, which you can they talk about manga and anime over there. I've been on that podcast a couple times to go visit our friends at Manga Machinations. That's gonna do it. Ooh, just shy of 2 hours.
We can make it 2 hours, Toby. Let's make it 2 hours.
We have to.
Thank you all very much for listening to this podcast, and
to the Jimbo.
We'll see you next week.